On April the 21st, the Russian army launched 2 cruise missiles on the island of Hortha in Zaporizhia. This was announced by the head of Zaporizhia Regional Military Administration, Alexander Starukh. The first rocket landed on the island of Hortha near the Preobrazhensky Bridge, and the second one hit the sanatorium building.
As a result of the air attack, the building on the sanatorium of one of the enterprises was damaged. 8 citizens were injured. The blast also damaged windows in 4 cars of the Zaporizhia-Lviv evacuation train. According to preliminary data, there are no victims among the passengers.
5 people were injured as a result of 3 missile strikes on the railway in Novomoskovsk district of Dnipropetrovsk region. The head of Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration, Valentin Riznichenko, announced this on his Telegram. According to him, the railway line and the contact network were completely destroyed. The possibility of their restoration is in doubt. Minister for Reintegration of the Temporarily Occupied Territories, Irina Vereshchuk, said that the planned evacuation of citizens from Mariupol on April the 21st did not take place due to a difficult security situation. Despite the previous agreement to open the corridor, shelling began near the meeting point, which forced the corridor to be closed. I agreed on a humanitarian corridor the day before. All that you see during the day, people not being released, buses not leaving, evacuation not taking place, is a violation of Russia's guarantees. And we need to talk about this all the time, because if we do it outside the humanitarian corridor, it is one thing. But when we agree on the humanitarian corridor within the Geneva Convention, in accordance with all international conventions and agreements, and in accordance with international humanitarian law, it is a crime not to follow the rules, and it is necessary to speak about it. The humanitarian corridor for the evacuation of civilians from Mariupol did not work as planned. Only 79 residents of the city were taken out. 3 of the 4 buses of the humanitarian convoy arrived in Zaporizhia. Our boys took us away. We are very grateful that we are in our native Ukraine, that we no longer have such horror, that we will have water, electricity, connection, that our children will eat, and we will not stand in hundreds in line for water and some candy that was thrown to us like dogs. The airstrikes that the enemy inflicts on Mariupol, all these destructions, well, there is no Mariupol anymore. Mariupol has simply been wiped out. There are corpses all over the city that can't be buried. There is simply no one to bury them. Destroyed houses, a known number of the dead. There are a lot of them. I hope everyone will be able to get out of there. Today, on April the 22nd, it hasn't been possible to agree on humanitarian corridors for the evacuation of civilians. Despite the absence of a silence regime and green corridors, more than 100 people have been evacuated from Luhansk region over the past 24 hours. This was announced by the head of Luhansk Regional Military Administration, Serhiy Haidai, on his Telegram. The patrol police, together with representatives of the State Emergency Service and volunteers, took out 6 residents of Severodonetsk, 60 people from Popasna, and 37 residents of Hirske community, including the elderly and bedridden patients. According to Serhiy Haidai, fewer and fewer people are ready to evacuate, so food, medicine, and hygiene products have been brought for some who remain in the bomb shelters. The Russian military continued to fire on the territory of Donetsk region. The regional traumatology hospital in Liman has been shelled by the Russian army today from Uragan volley fire systems. This was announced on Telegram by the head of Donetsk Regional Military Administration, Pavlo Kyrylenko. Direct hit of shells caused fire and destruction in both hospitals and nearby residential buildings. Rescuers and pyrotechnics extinguished the fire and neutralized explosive devices. Other districts of Donetsk region came under enemy fire as well. On the night of April the 22nd, the town of Slovyansk came under fire. According to the head of the local military administration, Vadim Lyakh, there were no casualties, but he reiterated the importance of the evacuation.
Good morning, Slovyansk. The night passed anxiously. The city came under fire. Several districts of the city were affected. The damage is currently being estimated. According to preliminary data, cluster bombs were used. Fortunately, there were no victims. Therefore, I urge you to evacuate. Do not stop. We are together.
I want to give the soldiers these drawings and a piggy bank with money.
Before the war, 6-year-old Sofia was saving her pocket money to go to sea in summer, but when Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began, she decided to donate all the money raised to the armed forces of Ukraine. She said, "Mom, I want to give the money to the soldiers so they buy a huge tank with a huge cannon and drive all these Russians out." The military to whom the girl handed over her treasury say they are not used to accepting money from children.
When you realize that the children are with you almost on the same front, we are strength and they are spirit.